Thank you very much. Senator Heitkamp.
Thank you, Chairman and Ranking Member, for holding this hearing. I mean, it's clear from the testimony today that we are so far advanced in the technology of creating these fuels, that our big problem is marketing these fuels, is actually getting it into the market. And there's a whole lot of kind of myths. And Mr. Childress, I think today you dispelled very many of those myths, and every day when you run your cars, that tells the story that this is not something consumers should be afraid of. But I do reject in some ways, the argument that the oil industry is so integrated vertically that they control every pump or every station. I can tell you what consumers do. If you don't have a predisposed inclination against ethanol, which I don't, I look up when I'm driving in and I say, what price gets me the cheapest gasoline, right? And you pull into that pump and you say, this is what I'm going to run. And we know we can get fuel economy and fuel efficiency from ethanol. That's another myth. Number one, it'll wreck your engine and destroy your warranty. And the other is that it's not as efficient and you won't get as high a mileage. And so, you know, we can dispel each one of those, but that's pervasive in my state. Even in my state, which is an agricultural state, we're also an oil-producing state. And so my question is, what's the next generation of marketing strategies beyond renewable fuel standards, beyond what we're doing with the RINs? What have your companies or your industry thought about in terms of how do we transition to providing greater incentives and responding to some of the concerns that our dealers have, our petroleum marketers have? And I guess, Mr. Coleman, that would really fit your lane best.
Yeah, so thanks for the question. You know, I think you're seeing it. I think the NASCAR thing is very helpful. You're seeing our industry work more directly with the gas station retailers recently and over the last couple of years.
Can you provide some examples of that? Because my dealers come in, and obviously, you know, we're pro-ethanol in North Dakota for the most part, but yet they talk about concerns about their underground tanks and whether that's going to create leakage and destroy their small business into the future. They talk about, you know, marketing and the huge investment that they would have to put in to accommodate those products. So how do I respond to that?
Well, so what we saw over the last year or so was retailers and independent marketers reacting very quickly to the RFS. It was the signal last summer was very clear. We're going to use more ethanol. We had MAPCO, we had Zarco, we had some of these stations making big investments in blender pumps. 400 pumps that would have fundamentally changed how much ethanol could get in the marketplace. We're talking about one business deal alleviating 17% of EPA's supposed gap that we cannot do. So those are specific examples. And then when EPA said, well, we might go backwards, they all stopped. And so what I would say to you is the single most important thing that we can do is make sure that the RFS continues to go forward. Everything flows around it from there. And I would have a hard time answering your question the other way, to be totally honest. People build higher docks to deal with incoming tide. They don't build higher docks to deal with outgoing tide. And if the tide starts to flow out on renewable fuels, we're not going to have people signing up for marketing deals.